I must tell you something that has been weighing on my heart, and I need you to listen closely because what I'm about to share will fundamentally shift how you understand human connection and loyalty. Right now, as we move through this particular cosmic configuration, something extraordinary is happening in the collective consciousness. People everywhere are waking up to a truth that has been hidden in plain sight for generations. Not all connections are created equal, and some souls are simply built differently when it comes to emotional reliability. You've felt it, haven't you? That exhaustion that comes from investing your heart, your time, your energy into relationships that drain rather than sustain you. That subtle but persistent tension in your chest when you realize, once again, that someone you trusted has let you down. That quiet voice inside asking, why does loyalty feel so rare? Why does genuine emotional support seem like a luxury rather than a baseline expectation? I want you to know that what you're experiencing isn't a personal failing. It's not that you're choosing poorly or that you're somehow unworthy of reliable love. What's actually happening is far more profound, and understanding it will change everything about how you navigate relationships moving forward. The universe operates on frequencies, on energetic blueprints that are encoded into our very essence from the moment we take our first breath. These blueprints, influenced by planetary positions and cosmic rhythms, don't just shape our personalities, they determine our capacity for certain types of emotional labor, our natural inclination toward loyalty, and our ability to show up consistently for the people we love. And here's what most people don't realize. Some zodiac signs are cosmically wired to offer what I call maximum emotional value. They're not better than others, but they are fundamentally different in how they process commitment, trust, and relational responsibility. This isn't about superficial compatibility or whether someone remembers your birthday. This is about the deep architecture of the soul, about which energetic signatures naturally align with sustained devotion, emotional intelligence, and the kind of reliability that doesn't waver when life gets difficult. And right now, in this moment of collective awakening, you need to understand which signs carry this gift, because recognizing them will save you years of heartache and help you invest your precious emotional energy where it will actually be honored and reciprocated. Let me be clear about something before we go further. When I talk about emotional value, I'm not reducing human beings to transactional commodities. Rather, I'm acknowledging a truth that our ancestors understood intuitively. Some people are natural containers for trust. They're the ones who hold space when everyone else has walked away. They're the ones whose word actually means something. They're the ones who understand that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. And discipline. A sacred commitment that requires showing up even when it's inconvenient. The 5 zodiac signs I'm about to reveal to you share a common thread that runs deeper than their surface characteristics. They are all, in their unique ways, builders, not just of material things, but of emotional infrastructure. They understand that relationships are living ecosystems that require tending. That trust is built through consistent small actions rather than grand gestures, and that true intimacy is forged in the mundane moments of daily life, not just in the highlights. And here's what makes this information so critical right now. We are living through a time of unprecedented relational fragility. The structures that once held communities together have dissolved. The social contracts that once governed how people treated each other have been rewritten. In this landscape of constant change and superficial connection, knowing who can actually be relied upon isn't just helpful, it's essential for your emotional survival and your ability to build a life that feels secure and meaningful. So let's begin with the first sign. And I want you to pay close attention because what I'm about to explain will help you understand not just who these people are, but why they function the way they do at an energetic level. Taurus, the fixed earth sign ruled by Venus, stands as the first pillar of maximum emotional value. But before you think this is just about stubbornness or material comfort, let me take you deeper into what's actually happening in the Taurus energy field. Taurus operates on a frequency of embodied presence. These individuals don't just think about loyalty, they feel it in their bones, in their nervous system, in the very cells of their body. When a Taurus commits to you, they're not making a mental decision that can be easily reversed. They're creating a somatic bond, a physical anchor that becomes part of their identity. This is why Taurus is often misunderstood as possessive or resistant to change. What's actually happening is that their entire energetic system is designed to create stability and maintain it. In a world that glorifies constant movement and reinvention, Taurus energy says, some things are worth preserving. Some bonds are worth fighting for. Some commitments deserve to be honored even when they're no longer exciting or convenient. The Venus rulership adds another crucial dimension. Venus isn't just about romance or aesthetics, it's about value recognition. Taurus has an innate ability to recognize the true worth of a person or relationship. And once they've determined that you are valuable, that assessment doesn't change based on temporary circumstances or emotional fluctuations. This is the opposite of the modern dating culture that treats people as disposable options. Taurus sees you as an investment, and they protect their investments with fierce dedication. I've watched Taurus individuals stay loyal to friends who were going through years-long struggles, showing up week after week even when there was nothing fun or rewarding about the interaction. I've seen Taurus partners continue to choose their relationship during periods when the spark had dimmed, trusting that commitment isn't about constant passion but about steady presence. This isn't martyrdom or codependency, it's a profound understanding that real love is built in the valleys, not just celebrated on the peaks. But here's what you need to understand about receiving love from a Taurus. They require reciprocity, not in grand gestures, but in consistent respect for what they're offering. If you take their loyalty for granted, if you treat their steadiness as boring rather than sacred, you will eventually hit a wall. Taurus has enormous capacity for patience, but they also have a breaking point, and once you cross it, their fixed nature means they rarely come back. The same energy that makes them incredibly loyal also makes them incredibly final when they decide to walk away. Does this resonate with you? Have you experienced the particular quality of Taurus devotion? That sense of being held by someone whose commitment doesn't waver based on your mood or your productivity or your ability to entertain them. Now let's move to Cancer. And this is where we enter the realm of emotional genius. Cancer, the cardinal water sign ruled by the moon, operates on a completely different frequency than Taurus. But the result is equally powerful in terms of relational reliability. Where Taurus offers stability through embodied presence, Cancer offers it through emotional attunement and nurturing consistency. The moon's influence on Cancer cannot be overstated. The moon governs our emotional body, our subconscious patterns, our need for safety and belonging. Cancer individuals are essentially walking emotional radars, constantly picking up on the subtle shifts in the people around them. This isn't just empathy, it's a form of energetic intelligence that allows them to anticipate needs before they're spoken. To sense when something is wrong even when you're pretending everything is fine, to create environments where people feel safe enough to be vulnerable. But here's what most people miss about Cancer's emotional value. It's not passive or soft. Cancer is a cardinal sign, which means it's an initiator, a leader, a force that creates movement. The crab's shell isn't just for protection, it's a mobile home, a fortress that Cancer carries with them so they can create safety wherever they go. When Cancer commits to you, they're not just offering emotional support, they're actively building a container for your growth, your healing, your becoming. I want you to understand the profound gift this represents. In a culture that tells us to be independent, to not need anyone, to handle everything on our own, Cancer energy says, you are allowed to be held. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to be imperfect and still be loved. This isn't enabling or codependency, it's the recognition that human beings are fundamentally relational creatures who thrive in the presence of consistent care. Cancer's loyalty manifests in the small, daily acts of remembering. They remember what you said 3 months ago about a struggle you were facing, and they check in to see how it's going. They remember your favorite comfort food and show up with it when you're having a hard day. They remember the anniversary of a loss you experienced and make sure you're not alone. This kind of attentiveness isn't about grand romantic gestures, it's about the accumulation of moments that say, I see you, I remember you, you matter to me. The challenge with Cancer is that their emotional depth can sometimes feel overwhelming to people who aren't comfortable with vulnerability. If you're someone who prefers to keep things light and surface level, Cancer's desire for emotional intimacy might feel like too much. But if you're seeking a partner who will actually show up for the messy, difficult, unglamorous parts of life, the illness, the grief, the failure, the fear, Cancer is unmatched in their capacity to stay present and loving through it all. And here's something crucial about Cancer's emotional value that often goes unrecognized. Their loyalty extends beyond the individual to the collective. Cancer doesn't just care about you, they care about your family, your history, your roots. When they commit to you, they're committing to your entire ecosystem. They want to know your mother's name, your childhood stories, the wounds that shaped you. This isn't no sinus, it's a deep understanding that to truly love someone, you must understand where they come from. Have you noticed this quality in the Cancer people in your life? That sense that they're not just showing up for the version of you that exists today, but for all the versions of you that have ever existed and all the versions you're still becoming. Let me move now to Virgo. And this is where we encounter a form of loyalty that is often misunderstood and undervalued in our culture. Virgo, the mutable earth sign ruled by Mercury, offers emotional value through what I call devoted service and analytical care. Before you dismiss this as boring or unromantic, I need you to understand something profound. Virgo's love language is improvement, not because they think you're broken, but because they believe you're worth the effort of refinement. The Mercury rulership gives Virgo an extraordinary capacity for observation and pattern recognition. They notice everything. The slight change in your tone when you're stressed, the way you rub your temples when you're getting a headache, the fact that you've been wearing the same shirt 3 days in a row, which means something is off. This level of attention isn't surveillance, it's devotion expressed through awareness. Virgo is paying attention because you matter. And in a world where most people are too distracted by their phones to notice what's happening right in front of them, this quality of presence is revolutionary. But here's what makes Virgo's emotional value so reliable. They don't just notice, they act. Virgo is the sign of practical magic, of turning observation into intervention. If they notice you're stressed, they don't just say that stuff and move on. They analyze the situation, identify the root cause, and offer concrete solutions. They might reorganize your schedule, research better time management techniques, or simply take tasks off your plate without being asked. This isn't controlling behavior, it's love expressed through tangible support. I've witnessed Virgo individuals spend hours researching medical conditions to help a friend understand their diagnosis. I've seen them create detailed budgets to help a partner get out of debt. I've watched them learn new skills specifically to be more helpful to the people they love. This level of dedication isn't about martyrdom or people-pleasing, it's about a fundamental belief that love is demonstrated through usefulness, through making someone's life measurably better through your presence in it. The mutable quality of Virgo adds another dimension to their reliability. Unlike fixed signs that maintain loyalty through unchanging commitment, Virgo maintains loyalty through adaptive service. They adjust their support based on what you actually need in each moment, rather than offering the same thing regardless of circumstances. When you're grieving, they become a quiet presence. When you're overwhelmed, they become an organizer. When you're lost, they become a researcher. This flexibility makes them incredibly valuable partners because they're not rigid in how they show up, they're responsive. But I need to address something important about Virgo's emotional value that often creates misunderstanding. Their critical eye, which can sometimes feel harsh, is actually an expression of their investment in you. Virgo only critiques what they care about. If they're pointing out areas where you could improve, it's not because they think you're inadequate, it's because they see your potential and they want to help you reach it. The tragedy is that many people interpret this as judgment and push Virgo away, not realizing they're rejecting one of the most devoted forms of love available. The key to receiving Virgo's emotional value is understanding that their service isn't transactional, it's vocational. They're not keeping score or expecting equal return. They're expressing their nature, which is to be useful, to solve problems, to make things better. When you allow them to help you, when you receive their care with gratitude rather than defensiveness, you're actually honoring their deepest need, which is to feel that their presence makes a meaningful difference. Have you experienced this particular quality of Virgo devotion? That sense of being cared for in ways you didn't even know you needed, by someone who's paying attention to details you thought no one noticed. Now we arrive at Scorpio. And this is where we enter the realm of transformational loyalty. Scorpio, the fixed water sign ruled by Pluto and traditionally Mars, offers emotional value through what I call soul-level commitment and protective intensity. If you want someone who will love you superficially and keep things light, Scorpio is not your sign. But if you want someone who will descend into the underworld with you and fight your demons alongside you, Scorpio is unmatched. The Pluto influence gives Scorpio an extraordinary capacity for depth and transformation. These individuals don't do anything halfway. When they commit with their entire being, body, mind, soul, and shadow. This isn't the comfortable, steady loyalty of Taurus or the nurturing consistency of Cancer. This is fierce, protective, all-consuming devotion that says, I will know every part of you, including the parts you hide from yourself, and I will love you anyway. Scorpio's emotional value lies in their willingness to engage with darkness. Most people want relationships that are easy, pleasant, conflict-free. Scorpio understands that real intimacy requires going into the difficult places, the shameful places, the wounded places. They're not afraid of your anger, your jealousy, your fear, your rage. In fact, they're often more comfortable with your shadow than with your persona, because they know that true connection happens when masks come off. I've watched Scorpio individuals stay loyal to people going through addiction, mental illness, legal troubles, and social disgrace situations where everyone else disappeared. This isn't codependency or savior complex. It's a profound understanding that loyalty means staying when staying is hard. That commitment is tested not in the good times, but in the times when leaving would be easier and more socially acceptable. The fixed quality of Scorpio makes their loyalty particularly powerful. Once they've decided you're theirs, that decision is essentially permanent. Scorpio doesn't do casual. They don't do temporary. They don't do let's see how it goes. When they choose you, they're choosing you for the long haul. Through every transformation, every crisis, every version of yourself you'll become. This level of commitment is rare and precious in a culture that treats relationships as disposable. But here's what you must understand about Scorpio's emotional value. It comes with requirements. Scorpio demands honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. They demand depth, even when it's scary. They demand loyalty in return, and they have zero tolerance for betrayal. If you lie to a Scorpio, if you betray their trust, if you take their devotion for granted, you will experience the other side of their intensity. The same passion that makes them incredibly loyal makes them incredibly final when they're done. Scorpio doesn't forgive easily. Not because they're vindictive, but because they gave you everything and you proved yourself unworthy of that gift. The Mars influence adds a protective quality to Scorpio's loyalty. They don't just love you, they defend you. They will fight for you, advocate for you, stand between you and anything that threatens you. This isn't possessiveness, it's guardianship. Scorpio sees their loved ones as sacred, and they take the responsibility of protection seriously. In a world where most people are too conflict-averse to stand up for anything, having a Scorpio in your corner means having someone who will go to war for you if necessary. I want you to understand something crucial about Scorpio's emotional value. Their intensity isn't a flaw to be managed, it's a feature to be honored. We live in a culture that pathologizes deep feeling. That tells us to be moderate and balanced and not too much. Scorpio rejects this entirely. They understand that some things deserve intensity, that some bonds are worth being consumed by. that some commitments require everything you have. If you can match their depth, if you can handle their intensity, if you can be worthy of their trust, you will experience a form of loyalty that most people never encounter in their entire lives. Does this resonate with you? Have you experienced the particular quality of Scorpio devotion? That sense of being claimed and protected and known at a level that's almost frightening in its completeness. Finally, we come to Capricorn, and this is where we encounter loyalty as legacy building. Capricorn, the card in a Earth sign ruled by Saturn, offers emotional value through what I call structural commitment and long-term investment. If you want someone who will be exciting and spontaneous and emotionally effusive, Capricorn might not be your first choice. But if you want someone who will still be there in 20 years, who will build an empire with you, who will honor their commitments even when it costs them something, Capricorn is the gold standard. The Saturn influence gives Capricorn a profound understanding of time, responsibility, and consequence. These individuals think in decades, not days. When they commit to you, they're not thinking about how they feel right now, they're thinking about what kind of life you can build together over the long arc of time. This isn't unromantic, it's the deepest form of romance. The recognition that real love is about choosing someone again and again across years and circumstances and versions of yourselves. Capricorn's emotional value lies in their reliability under pressure. When life gets hard, and it always does, most people's commitment wavers. They start questioning whether they made the right choice. They start looking for exits. Capricorn does the opposite. Difficulty activates their loyalty. Challenge makes them dig in deeper. They're the ones who stay through the financial crisis, the health emergency, the career failure, the family drama, not because they're martyrs, but because they understand that commitment means something precisely because it's tested. I've watched Capricorn individuals work multiple jobs to support a partner going through school. I've seen them care for aging parents while raising children and building careers. I've witnessed them honor commitments that were no longer convenient or rewarding, simply because they said they would. This level of integrity is increasingly rare, and it makes Capricorn one of the most valuable partners you can have in any area of life. The cardinal quality of Capricorn means they're not passive in their loyalty. They're actively building something with you. Every decision they make is filtered through the question: does this serve our long-term goals? Does this honor our commitments? Does this move us toward the life we're trying to create? This future orientation makes them incredibly stable partners because they're not reactive to temporary emotions or circumstances. They're playing a longer game. But here's what you need to understand about Capricorn's emotional value. It's expressed through action, not words. Capricorn doesn't say "I love you" constantly. They show you by paying the bills on time, by planning for your future, by making sacrifices you might not even notice. If you need constant verbal affirmation and emotional expression, you might misinterpret Capricorn's love as coldness. But if you can recognize devotion in the form of responsibility, provision, and consistent presence, you'll see that Capricorn's love is one of the most solid foundations you can build a life on. The challenge with Capricorn is that their commitment to responsibility can sometimes overshadow their emotional availability. They might prioritize work over quality time, or practical concerns over emotional connection. But this isn't because they don't care, it's because they're trying to build a secure foundation for the relationship. They believe that love without stability is just a feeling, and feelings change. What they're offering is something more durable. A partnership built on mutual respect, shared goals, and unwavering commitment to the agreements you've made together. I want you to understand something profound about Capricorn's emotional value that often goes unrecognized until years have passed. Their loyalty isn't designed to make you feel good in the moment, it's designed to make your life work in the long run. They're thinking about retirement accounts when you're thinking about weekend plans. They're considering how today's decisions will affect you in 10 years. This temporal perspective is a form of care that our instant gratification culture has forgotten how to recognize. But it's arguably the most valuable form of partnership available. Have you experienced this particular quality of Capricorn devotion? That sense of being with someone who's not just present for today, but actively building a future that includes you as a permanent fixture now. Before we move into the deeper synthesis of what all this means, I need to address something that might be stirring in you right now. Perhaps you're thinking, what if I'm not one of these 5 signs? Does that mean I'm not capable of being a reliable partner? Does that mean I'm destined to be the person who disappoints others? Let me be absolutely clear. This is not about hierarchy. This is not about some signs being better than others. What we're discussing here is energetic specialization. Every sign has gifts. Every sign has value. But these 5 particular signs have a natural architecture that makes sustained emotional reliability feel less like work and more like expression of their essential nature. It's the difference between someone who has to consciously remember to be loyal versus someone for whom loyalty is as natural as breathing. And here's something even more important. If you're not one of these 5 signs, understanding them becomes even more critical for you. Because knowing where to find maximum emotional value means you can stop exhausting yourself trying to extract reliability from people who simply aren't wired to offer it consistently. It means you can stop blaming yourself when relationships with certain signs feel unstable or unpredictable. It means you can make informed choices about where to invest your trust, your vulnerability, your long-term commitment. Think about it this way. If you needed surgery, you wouldn't go to just anyone. You'd seek out someone with the specific rating, temperament, and track record for that particular procedure. Relationships work the same way. If you need emotional reliability, if you need someone who will be there through the long haul, if you need a partner who understands that commitment is a practice rather than a feeling, then these 5 signs are your specialists. They're the ones whose entire energetic system is designed for exactly what you're seeking. But there's another layer to this that we need to explore, because understanding these signs individually is only part of the picture. What makes them truly powerful is understanding how their different forms of loyalty can work together, how they complement each other, and how recognizing these patterns can help you build an entire support system of reliable people rather than putting all your emotional eggs in one basket. Taurus and Capricorn, both earth signs, create what I call structural stability. When you have both of these energies in your life, whether as romantic partners, friends, or family members, you have people who understand that love is built through consistent action over time. They're not going to flake on plans. They're not going to disappear when you need them. They're not going to make promises they can't keep. Together, they create a foundation of reliability that allows you to take risks in other areas of your life because you know you have solid ground to return to. Cancer and Scorpio, both water signs, create emotional depth and transformational support. These are the people who will go into the darkness with you. They're not afraid of your pain, your complexity, your shadow. When you have both of these energies in your life, you have access to both nurturing care and fierce protection. Cancer will hold you while you cry. Scorpio will help you understand why you're crying and what needs to transform. Together, they create a container for emotional healing that most people never experience. Virgo acts as the bridge between earth and water, between practical support and emotional atonement. Virgo can translate Scorpio's intensity into actionable steps. Virgo can help Taurus see where flexibility is needed. Virgo can organize Cancer's emotional insights into practical care routines. Virgo can help Capricorn remember that efficiency isn't everything. This adaptability makes Virgo an essential component of any reliable support system because they can meet you wherever you are and help you get where you need to go. Now, let's talk about what happens when you don't have these energies in your life. Because this is where many people find themselves, and it's causing a crisis of connection that we need to address directly. If you're surrounded by air signs who value intellectual connection over emotional consistency, or fire signs who prioritize passion and excitement over stability, you might find yourself constantly feeling unsettled, wondering why your relationships feel so unpredictable, why people seem to come and go from your life without warning. This isn't about those signs being bad or wrong. Air signs bring innovation, perspective, and social connection. Fire signs bring inspiration, courage, and vitality. But if what you need is someone who will show up consistently, who will remember what you told them last month, who will honor their commitments even when something more exciting comes along, you're going to be perpetually disappointed if you're only surrounding yourself with energies that aren't designed for that particular form of relational labor. And here's where the soul exhaustion comes in. The feeling I mentioned at the beginning that you've probably been experiencing. When you keep investing in relationships with people who aren't energetically equipped to offer the reliability you need, you start to believe that reliable love doesn't exist. You start to think that everyone is flaky, that no one can be trusted. That commitment is a myth, but the truth is, you've just been looking in the wrong places. You've been expecting roses from an apple tree and then concluding that roses don't exist. This is the karmic reset I want to offer you today. Stop trying to force people to be something they're not. Stop exhausting yourself trying to teach someone to be reliable when their entire energetic blueprint is designed for spontaneity. Stop blaming yourself for choosing poorly when what you actually need to do is recalibrate your understanding of where different forms of value can be found. If you want adventure and novelty, seek out Sagittarius and Gemini. If you want intellectual stimulation and social connection, seek out Aquarius and Libra. Seek out Aries and Leo. But if you want reliability, consistency, and maximum emotional value, you now know exactly where to look. Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, and Capricorn. Let me give you a practical framework for how to apply this knowledge immediately. First, take inventory of your current relationships. Who in your life actually shows up consistently? Who remembers what matters to you? Who has proven through action, not just words, that they're committed to your well-being? I'm willing to bet that when you look closely, you'll find that the people who meet these criteria are predominantly these 5 signs. Second, stop investing equal emotional energy in all your relationships. This is where most people go wrong. They treat every friendship, every romantic connection, every family relationship as if it deserves the same level of vulnerability and trust. But that's not how energy works. You have a finite amount of emotional bandwidth, and you need to allocate it strategically. Give your deepest trust, your most vulnerable sharing, your long-term commitment to people whose energetic blueprint is designed to honor those gifts. Everyone else can receive a different form of your energy, but not your core trust. Third, if you're in a romantic relationship with someone who isn't one of these 5 signs, this doesn't mean you need to leave, but it does mean you need to adjust your expectations and potentially build additional support systems. Your Gemini partner might be brilliant and fun and intellectually stimulating, but you might need a Capricorn best friend for the kind of steady, reliable support that your partner simply isn't wired to provide. Your Leo partner might be generous and passionate and inspiring, but you might need a Cancer family member for the emotional atonement that doesn't come naturally to fire energy. The goal isn't to only have relationships with these 5 signs. The goal is to understand what each energy offers and to build a diverse ecosystem of support where you're getting your needs met from people who are naturally equipped to meet them. This is emotional intelligence. This is relational maturity. This is how you stop the cycle of disappointment and start building a life where you feel genuinely supported. And here's something I need you to hear, especially if you've been hurt repeatedly by unreliable people. Your need for consistency is not too much. Your desire for people who keep their word is not unrealistic. Your expectation that commitment should mean something is not naive. What's actually happening is that you've been operating in relational environments where these values aren't prioritized. And that's made you question whether they're even possible. But they are possible. They're just not universal. They're concentrated in specific energetic signatures. And now you know where to find them. I also want to address something for those of you who are one of these 5 signs and you're recognizing yourself in this description. You might be feeling a mix of validation and burden right now. Validation because finally someone is acknowledging the emotional labor you've been doing. The way you show up consistently even when it costs you something. but also burden because you might be realizing that people have been taking your reliability for granted, treating your loyalty as if it's the baseline rather than the gift it actually is. If this is you, I need you to understand something crucial. Your capacity for reliability doesn't mean you're obligated to offer it to everyone. Just because you can be loyal doesn't mean everyone deserves your loyalty. Just because you can show up consistently doesn't mean you should show up for people who don't reciprocate or appreciate what you're offering. Your emotional value is precious, and you have every right to be selective about who receives it. One of the shadow patterns I see in these 5 signs is a tendency to stay in relationships long past their expiration date because they take their commitments so seriously. Taurus stays because they said they would. Cancer stays because they're worried about the other person. Virgo stays because they think they can fix it. Scorpio stays because they've invested so much already. Capricorn stays because they don't want to fail. But loyalty to someone who doesn't honor it isn't loyalty itself, abandonment. So here's what I want you to do if you're one of these 5 signs. Start applying the same standards to others that you apply to yourself. If you show up consistently, require consistency in return. If you keep your word, require that others keep theirs. If you honor commitments, require that your commitments be honored. This isn't about being rigid or unforgiving. This is about recognizing that your emotional value is a gift that should be treasured, not taken for granted. And for those of you who aren't these 5 signs but you're in relationship with them, I want you to understand what you have. If you have a Taurus who shows up for you, a Cancer who nurtures you, a Virgo who supports you, a Scorpio who protects you, right? A Capricorn who builds with you, you have something rare and precious. Don't treat it casually. Don't assume it will always be there regardless of how you behave. These people have chosen you, and that choice is significant. Honor it. Reciprocate it. Show them that you understand the value of what they're offering. The revelation of truth that's happening right now in the collective consciousness is this. We've been taught that all love is equal, that all commitment is the same, that everyone has the same capacity for reliability if they just try hard enough. But that's not true. It's never been true. And pretending it's true has caused immeasurable pain and confusion. Some people are naturally wired for sustained devotion. Some people are naturally wired for other things. And there's no moral judgment in that, it's just energetic reality. What I'm offering you today is permission to stop fighting against this reality and start working with it. Stop trying to extract reliability from people who aren't built for it. Stop blaming yourself when relationships with certain energies feel unstable. Stop believing that your need for consistency is somehow wrong or too much. Instead, start seeking out the people whose natural expression aligns with what you need. Start building relationships with people whose energetic blueprint is designed for exactly the kind of partnership you're craving. This is not about limiting yourself or putting people in boxes. This is about understanding that just as you wouldn't expect a cat to bark or a fish to climb a tree, you can't expect every zodiac sign to offer the same form of relational value. Each sign has its gifts. Each sign has its purpose. But if what you need is maximum emotional value, if what you need is someone who will be there through the long haul, if what you need is reliability that doesn't waver based on mood or circumstance, then you now have a map. You know where to look. You know what to seek. You know who to trust with your deepest vulnerability. The action I'm asking you to take is simple but profound. Stop doing relationships the way you've been taught and start doing them based on energetic alignment. Stop forcing connections that require constant effort to maintain. Stop trying to change people into something they're not designed to be. Stop settling for inconsistency because you've been told that's just how relationships are. Instead, seek out these 5 signs. Build your inner circle with people whose natural expression is reliability. Surround yourself with energies that make loyalty feel effortless rather than laborious. And if you do this, if you really commit to this recalibration, you will experience a shift so profound that you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. You'll stop feeling exhausted by your relationships and start feeling nourished by them. You'll stop